All right. Well, I'm with Dennis Woodcock today. He is a lineman at Liquid Electric. We're going to just ask a few questions, find out what it's like to be a lineman. And so hopefully this will give you some information if you're interested in being a lineman in a co-op as well. So Dennis, why don't you start out by telling us just a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Well, my name is Dennis Woodcock. I've been a lineman at Liquid Electric for starting my 21st year. I have a wife, Tiffany, and a son. He's 15 years old, so he may be kind of close to your age. I really enjoy line work. I enjoy just being outdoors with the family. We enjoy traveling and camping and things like that. And you know, one of the perks about a lineman is that you're just outdoors all the time. Maybe not this time of year, but summertime is great and the spring's great. So you guys may be wondering, what is a lineman and what does he do? And so first of all, I just want to clarify that the lineman that we're talking about here is not the football lineman. Sometimes whenever people don't know anything about line work, they're like, well, do you mean football? And I'm like, no, I'm talking about electricity. Okay. So one of my first job duties is to answer trouble calls. I'm sure you guys have been in the dark before and you're wanting the lights to come back on. And so that's my job, is to leave my house and basically get your lights back on for you. We climb poles. You're going to need to be able to climb. You won't want this job if you're afraid of heights, things like that. We set poles, and then just day in and day work. We may fix lights. We may do connects, different things like that.
Cool. So 21 years you've done this, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what made you want to be a lineman?
Well, it all started my junior year of high school. The counselors come around and they was doing these like aptitude tests and things like that. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I come home and I was talking to my mom and dad. And he's like, well, why don't you come to work with me? Because he was a lineman and he actually retired from Ameren UE after 40 years. And so I got the opportunity to go to work with him over Christmas break for 2 weeks. And so during that process, I thought, you know, this is definitely something that I could do. So he goes, well, I'm glad you said that. I think he kind of had that hook out there, and he kind of got me, you know. And so he had just heard about this new school up at Lynn State Technical College, now Lynn State. And I ended up going there. I got out of high school in '98 and I started in 2000. And so I went up there for 2 years, and then I did a internship with Three Rivers Electric Co-op out of Lynn, Missouri. And so the answer to that question is that, you know, I would say that my dad played just a real big role. And you know, the good thing is about that is that growing up, I got to see what line work was about. I got to realize that linemen, you know, they may miss, like if you're on call, you may miss a birthday party or you may have to get called in for Christmas. So there are lots of pluses and minuses to line work. But overall, it was great that I got to experience him being a lineman because I knew exactly what I was getting into.
That's always helpful. And whenever I work with students, always, you know, we can look at Google and we can look things up online, but nothing compares to actually going and speaking with somebody who's doing it right now, because then you can get the actual, what did you do? And I always tell students, you know, if you want to be where somebody already is, then ask them how they got there and just follow the trail. I mean, you don't have to reinvent the wheel to do this. And so that kind of leads into the next question. You mentioned State Tech at Lynn, which students that I work with, most of them know that I also went to State Tech whenever I graduated high school. And so I was leaving when you were coming in, I guess. But what training or certifications do you need to be a lineman, say, in a co-op?
Okay, well, what I have is an Associate of Applied Science in Electrical Distribution. I would recommend, this is my opinion, that if you're interested in becoming a lineman, I would try and go to one of those schools, because at that school you're going to get exposed to the job. They're going to teach you how to climb. They're going to help you get your CDL. first aid certified, things like that, and you're gonna learn a lot about the job before you actually just show up at the job, because you may walk in there and then you're like, oh, I don't like this, what is this? So I would recommend finding a line school somewhere and trying that out. But that being said, though, if you'll look online, they're like powerlineman.com. I mean, there's job openings in lots of different states right now, and the only minimum is that you have to be able to get a CDL, and then you have to have a high school degree. So you don't necessarily have to have college and things like that. I personally think that's a good idea, and that'd probably be a better question maybe for Laura later. But
Yeah.
so that's the other good thing about the schools, that they have the equipment, the trucks, the bucket trucks, so you're going to get to experience working and using those trucks in school.
I would imagine if you were applying for a line job, either with a co-op or some other company, that an applicant that has that degree already has their CDL, their experience working lines and driving in the trucks and the first aid, they're going to be a more valuable applicant than somebody who is just straight out of high school that has no experience.
Yes, sir. And I'm guessing here, I would say that being said, that would definitely probably move your application up towards the top versus just someone that was coming right out of high school with just the basic degrees. Because that way the cooperative that you're going to go to work for knows that you're committed to this, you know what you're getting into, and there would be less risk hiring you versus just the regular person that really has no idea what they're getting into.
So if the co-op requires you to have that CDL, requires you to have your first aid, they're not going to have to pay for that or give you time off to go get it. You already have it.
Yes, sir.
And so I can see that being a really big advantage.
And even the climbing school, being climber certified and things like that, if you go to a school and get it, that's, you're done. If you start here, then you're going to work a few months, then they're going to send you up to AMEC, which is one of our training facilities up in Jefferson City. And so you can bypass, like your first 6 months usually, depending on where you go, And I guess I could just take this time that also, we're talking about Laclede Electric here, but I would point out that all these electric co-ops are basically tied together. Like if we have like an ice storm hit, like back in the 07, or a hurricane hit, or a tornado, or something like that, then what those co-ops do, they make a phone call to other co-ops, and then we go help other linemen basically get the power back on. So I would point out that it doesn't have to be any one specific co-op. And matter of fact, you can look online, and if you're interested in moving to maybe even a different state or something like that, there's always opportunities. It seems like Colorado is always hiring, which I wouldn't want to go to Colorado. But it's whatever your cup of tea is. I was actually looking last night, and there's a job opening down in the Florida Keys, so I kind of made a joke that it'd be a good time to go down there.
Yeah, I agree with you. With 6 degrees, like it is.
Yes, sir. So, of course, we joke about that, but then they get the hurricanes and those types of storms, so just pick where you want to live, I guess.
Yeah.
But,
What's your favorite part about being a lineman?
so my favorite part about being a lineman is probably whenever you have worked one of those spring storms and you get your repair made, you find the problem, you get your lines back up, and let's say it's a feeder outage or a substation outage with 700 or 800 people on it, and it's dark out, pitch black, and you call into the dispatcher and you tell them to turn the recloser on at the sub, and you just see all the lights come on. That is very exciting. It's really rewarding. And then the other really rewarding times is like whenever you go to just someone's house and it's really cold out, and you're able to find the problem for them, whether it's on our side or their side, or maybe assist in that. And and the member is just really thankful that you're there. And because you got to realize that, and if you really think about it, in like Laclede County, for this area, there's like, what do we have, maybe 16, 17 service linemen, so if you think about it, there's only an elect few people that can go out and fix that problem. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know, to me, there's just something special about being that person that can be there for those people in their time of need and helping them out.
And that's an important point, you know, that with the students that I meet that want to be on service line, if there's, Laclede Electric's a pretty large co-op, and with only 16 linemen, if you want to be a lineman, but all those spots are filled, what could be an alternative? You know, I've already got my experience at State Tech, what can I do?
Well, you could always apply here and start and try and get like a warehouse job and then kind of work your way up. We also have, you know, mechanics, or we have engineers, we have meter techs, meter department, things like that. So you could always try and get your foot in the door there. If you're around Lebanon, Missouri, I mean, you've always got Consolidated Electric. Go to work for a contractor, you know, that's always a possibility.
So a contractor could be a step toward what you want to achieve by going to a contractor. And they're similar in ways to the co-op, the actual co-op.
Yeah, I mean, they would have different training. You know, here we go through a 4-year apprenticeship program, and then you have another year before you actually turn service lineman, where we put you out and you're actually on call. So, and each step, you know, you're going to take tests, and there's all kinds of classes and training involved. And so it takes about 5 years to get a service lineman here once you start.
And all those trainings are super important for safety and knowledge, and
They are.
Yeah.
You know, safety around here is number one. You know, people always ask me, you know, is electricity dangerous? And I'm like, well, you know, electricity itself is dangerous, but if you follow the rules and the regulations and things like that, it is very, very safe.
Awesome. What's your least favorite?
All right, well, my least favorite would probably be back to that spring thunderstorm. Whenever you're out working for, you know, who knows, whenever you're on call, you may work 8 or 10 hours or just whatever it takes. And that could be like in the springtime in the pouring down rain, and with a rain suit on, and just, you can just imagine, you know, tornado sirens going off and raining all night, and you're just standing outside, you know, getting drenched. And after these clothes get so wet, you know, the rain suit only goes so far. So the least favorite part is probably just getting wet. You know, I can actually handle the heat quite a bit, but whenever you're just cold and wet and, you know, things like that, that's probably my least favorite part.
Yeah, that's when you're earning your way.
That's when I'm really earning it, yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always think about linemen whenever, you know, it's nasty out and I hear power outages, and I think somewhere there are people that are heading out in this right now to give us. So I always give mercy and grace. You know, if a tree's cut on my place for the line, it's okay, because that's going to save somebody.
You know, it's always fun. I find it funny. You know, people are always talking about, you know, oh, the thunderstorm, or the, you know, we're under a tornado watch and whatever. And I'm just like, you know, whatever, because usually that's whenever we're going to work.
Yeah.
So
Get in the truck and go.
Get in the truck and go, and because, you know, people nowadays, they don't want to be without power. So, and they want it on like, you know, as quick as we can. So, but with that being said, you know, we have safety protocols we have to follow, and sometimes it just takes time, you know, to get the power back on. You know, people don't realize that whenever, like, let's say that a car hits a pole, you know, if they don't call that in right away, first we got to find the problem, we have to isolate the problem and make the public safe, and then we would have to call in like emergency locates. Well, they have, you know, a couple hours to respond to that. Then we have to get materials. So there's so much that goes into restoring power. You know, and just the general public just doesn't realize, you know, what it takes to get it back on sometimes.
So it's always good to give them a little grace, you know,
Yes.
let them try to figure it out. So,
Yep.
So if somebody was interested in being a lineman, what advice would you give them?
Well, currently, I think the best thing that you guys can do, and it's kind of like I tell my 15-year-old boy, I don't expect, you know, straight A's from your schoolwork, but I also don't want to see like, you know, assignments being turned in late, you know, things like that. that to me just shows laziness. I mean, I want to see some drive, I want to see some ambition. I just want you to do your best that you can in high school right now. If you have this available at your high school, like I started my junior year because I already kind of knew what I wanted to go into. There was a tech school in town that you could attend like half a day through the high school, and it was like an AC/DC class. I'm not talking about AC/DC, the rock band guys. I'm talking about like a electrical class. I mean, sometimes you got to clarify that for some kids whenever you're talking with them. But I would just try and start learning about some electronic boards. You can buy those like on Amazon. There's some different things like how to build circuits, things like that. That'll all help you whenever you go off to college, and it'll just give you a little bit of a head start if you know that stuff. Trying to think of what else. If you would happen to know maybe an electrician in your hometown or something like that, we are not electricians. We just handle we work on the lines between the house and the substation. So that your electrician will take care of your stuff inside the house, but it really never hurts to have that background and know something about basic wiring, So if you happen to know of anybody that you could, maybe even work for over the course of the summer or something like that. And speaking of just working in general, I would recommend, I know a lot of kids that have never held a job before. Like they've gone from like high school to college. Some of them have like never worked. I think it's important for kids to have a boss, other than your parent, learn to take orders, learn how to respond to that. I just think that it teaches them some responsibility. And so I would kind of try and do that. I think that would, maybe help.
So students that are familiar with me, they would hear me talk about soft skills and hard skills being kind of like I can use tools, where soft skills maybe it's inside of me or my personal people type skills. So I've heard you talk about things like work ethic and perseverance. You don't give up. Being able to take instructions. That was another one you just mentioned. Is there anything in addition to that you might add to be a good line service person? What else besides those three things?
Well, getting along with others on your crew is absolutely crucial. We work with electricity, which, like we said, can be dangerous, and so you have to be able to work well with others, work well as a team, and then whenever your crew foreman or your boss tells you to do something, you really have to do it, and because he's looking out for you, and he's also looking out for the safety of crew members.
So teamwork would be really crucial.
Teamwork would be really crucial.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. All right. Well, you have anything else you want to add for these kids?
I really can't think of anything, guys. Like I said, just try and keep those grades up. I know with COVID, attendance is kind of a wash now. I used to really push attendance,
Yeah.
but that's kind of went by the wayside. But just do the best you can in school, and if you like being outdoors and you're not afraid of heights, give line work a try. And something else I will mention is that there is another part of line work. We work on the distribution side, but there is another part of line work, and it's transmission lineman, and that would be through like Show Me Power out of Marshfield, and they actually work on like our substations, and then they're also responsible for the lines that go from the substation to the power plant. So there is, some different types of line work out there, not just distribution. So
they would be the big lines.
They would be the big lines and the 69 line or higher voltage lines, stuff like that, which I really know nothing about. We just work on distribution voltage here, which our voltage here is 7200. So that gives you kind of an idea that there is some different types of line work also. So.
Well, I would imagine, just like most jobs, that attendance, like you talked about attendance in school, and even though it's kind of a wash right now with COVID, in the job setting, it's not a wash.
No.
You gotta be at work on time because they're dependent on
Definitely.
You, right?
Here we expect you to be here on time, 8 to 4:30, and really you can't miss work a lot and things like that, and, but I'm telling you, it's a really great career, and I say career because, it's not like going to work somewhere and working there a few years and going somewhere else. Once you get into line work, I don't know of anyone that usually leaves being a lineman. Most people stay their whole career and retire unless they go into something else affiliated with the same co-op that they're with or something like that. But it's a really good job. It's got, I think it's got some of the best benefits and things like that around, and it's just a really rewarding job.
All right. Well, Dennis, I appreciate your time, and I know I've got you out of the cold weather for a little bit, but I guess it's time to go back to work, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dennis, for talking to us about line work.
Thank you, and good luck, guys.